up, YouTube? We're back with another video.
It's your girl, Bad Girl Yazzie.
And what are we watching today?
YouTube Darkest Videos.
YouTube's Darkest Video 7 by Nick Crowley. Okay.
Let's see what's up, YouTube.
Screen record.
It's December 4th, 2003.
I'm gonna go
Arlington,
try to get them to
Virginia.
stop doing that.
A police officer walking in a local park in Arlington, Virginia, is approached by a
Disclaimer. I might scream. I'm actually paired of pussy. I'm scared.
concerned family, claiming that someone in a nearby neighborhood had been shooting off a flare gun. The officer could hear it too, and following the sound, he eventually found himself at the home of 56-year-old James Yu. The man lived alone in his half of this duplex and was described by neighbors as a recluse known to exhibit unusual behavior. Across his social media, he made posts claiming that he was the victim of fraud at the hands of all sorts of government agencies, as he had a deep distrust of the US government as well as law enforcement, and he believed that numerous people were attempting to kill him, like his ex-wife, the FBI, and even his neighbors. His posts seemed entirely nonsensical, and so did many of his actions. In the months prior, he had covered up all of his windows with garbage bags and aluminum foil, and he even wrapped his trees in toilet paper. And though these actions are entirely harmless, on this day, things were becoming far more troubling. When police arrived at his home, you would be seen firing his flare gun out of his window and into the air, over and over again. And despite repeated attempts to get him to stop,
He might be
Arlington County
dealing with
Police!
something.
Stop shooting the flares! Mr. Yu!
he didn't let up, shooting 41 flares in the span of just 25 minutes.
Oh my
And he did it all with
God.
no explanation.
He's warning
In
us.
fact, he didn't even say a single word.
He's warning.
Understandably, police were eager to get Yu out of his home for questioning, as at this point it wasn't obvious whether or not he was a threat. And so for hours and hours they called out to him, first asking and then demanding he exit his home.
They would have had one of those.
10 lined up.
James, Arlington Police, come to the front door with your hands up. Do it now. We have your building surrounded.
But still,
They
there
talking
was
about
no
it took
response.
hours.
Growing impatient and worried that Yu might be planning something, the police would eventually bring in a specialized vehicle to bust down the door and spray the inside of the home with gas, all in an attempt to draw Yu outside.
James, stay away from your front door.
I'm surprised it took this long.
And in response, Yu began firing once again. Only this time, he wasn't using flares. And instead, he was now yielding an actual gun. Thankfully, none of these shots connected, but with the situation becoming increasingly dangerous, the officers decided to fall back, as they carefully came up with a new plan for apprehending Yu. Though whatever they had been planning would never come to fruition.
This motherfucker playing Call of Duty.
No, actually, he really might be dealing with a mental
Yeah,
illness.
definitely
Yeah,
schizophrenia.
like-
Where's the trash
because
bag?
40 flares in the span of 25 minutes, he's
He
warning
sent
us.
us a message. What's the message? And
They're coming down.
They're coming down. Put it together.
Yeah.
No, literally. Bitch. Oh.
Then he got a bomb? A bomb? Oh,
No.
see, this is... If somebody is telling you, it was signs, guys.
He need to be sent to the place with the grippy socks, okay? He need to be sent in some grippy socks, okay? Guys, come on, man. Remember that one time we saw on the bomb? That's another story time.
He said, y'all not taking me out my house. Y'all gonna die with me.
Whew. Oh my god.
I did that.
See, this is my thing. How can a man acquire bomb materials and no one's like, and 41 flare gun pellets And then no one is like, oh, you know, like, let's say you pull up to Walmart, right? Oh, yeah, can I get the nitric acid with the gunpowder? You get what I'm saying? It's like, sir, what are you building?
Did y'all see that?
In a split second, the home was gone, as a massive explosion rang out from inside the house, reducing the entire structure to rubble. Inside the house, Yu had stored 55 gallons of gasoline in his basement, which he saved for that moment to ignite with no warning and no explanation. Based on the footage, it's been theorized that Yu's actions were an attempt to lure police into his home so that he could then set off this explosion and take them all out along with his
'cause
neighbors,
he didn't-
as he genuinely
He
believed
didn't
that
fuck
both
with
parties
them.
were conspiring
Remember?
to kill
He said,
him.
fuck America. Fuck
Though
the
somehow, when the smoke cleared, no civilians or police officers had so much as been injured. All that was found in the rubble was the remnants of a single body. Though for a moment, this wasn't the end of James Yu's story. Before that body could be identified, reports across social media began emerging showing that James Yu was somehow still alive.
Where was I when this... Let's see.
After the blast, comments were being made on what
What is
appeared...
that? It's obvious America convinced the world to litigate against me. Oh my god. Y'all are effing pathetic. Insiders assessing my accounts, etc. My neighborhood is crawling with spies. Mr. and Mrs. Surveillance with neighborhood. Cameras recording everything, then passing the video audio to other parties who then pass the information to the media and government entities.
to be used YouTube
Why
channel,
was he
where he
saying
stated
neighborhood?
that this whole thing was a cover.
Everybody is witnessing them they attempting to silence and crush me. Their attempts to trick via reverse psychology, though. For example, media headlines is pathetic. They do this to anyone who's worked for them.
Cover up in that he wasn't even inside the home
you
when the
notice how
standoff
every
started,
single one of
which
us is
looking
careful?
back, we never actually see him, and we also never hear his voice. Numerous posts pointing out this development would go viral and cause mass confusion about the story, which was only heightened when it was revealed that the body inside that building was in fact James Yu. Though in the end, it wasn't really as mysterious as some originally thought. As it turns out, the post showing these comments failed to realize that this wasn't actually Yu's account, and instead it had a completely different username, with the account likely having been created as nothing more than a hoax. To this day, though, there are some that still believe that this was all some sort of massive cover-up, but in reality, it just seems that this was the result of a man gripped by crippling paranoia and loneliness, with it all coming to a head in what has gone on to become one of YouTube's darkest videos.
Cause why I didn't see this?
No, I didn't see this.
I didn't see nothing. I didn't see this.
Oh, you know what we should watch? Like the true crime stories and react to it.
Yeah.
Sheesh.
Or have your mom in the back. Great commentary.
No, great.
The internet is a dark and disturbing frontier. This year alone, countless people have fallen victim to high-profile data breaches, raising serious concern about personal information security. Ticketmaster experienced a breach compromising over 560 million of their customer records. But most alarming of all, the National Public Data announced that they too had suffered a breach, where a staggering
expected
2.9 billion records were leaked, potentially impacting every single American. And these leaks included critical personal information, such as full names, addresses, dates of birth,
you wrote
phone
that?
numbers, and even
They're
social
saying everybody's social security numbers had
security numbers. If you haven't been taking your online security seriously, then it's time for a change. Though thankfully I feel secure because I've been using today's sponsor, Aura.
I knew it. I
which
knew
is
it.
magnum
I knew
opus.
it.
The structure was inflatable, akin to a massive bounce house, and once inside, guests were confronted with a labyrinth of brightly colored walls and cells, twisting and turning into some sort of surreal maze that patrons were told to lose themselves in. This piece of art premiered back in 2004, and due to its inflatability, it was actually built to travel, making stops in major cities in the UK, before it was eventually set up at Riverside Park in Durham on the 22nd of June, 2006. The very next day, 68-year-old Elizabeth Collins would visit the area with her husband and her daughter, as well as her 14-year-old grandson. And spotting this unusual structure in the distance, Elizabeth's grandson insisted on checking it out, excitedly taking off his shoes and running inside. And while the rest of the group was more apprehensive about entering, Elizabeth eventually decided to accompany him, leaving her husband and daughter on the outside, though not before turning back to them and joking that she was going in to find peace and serenity. Outside, Elizabeth's husband and daughter sat at a nearby table and enjoyed a cup of tea whilst conversing about the events of the week, only for the man to turn his head and notice that Dreamspace was slightly moving, to which he excitedly said, "Oh, it's a ride, it's a ride. I wish I had gone on it." The daughter then turned her head to see the structure as it began to rise up off the ground, to which she chillingly responded, "It's not a ride."
Girl, I would have sued that entire whatever it is.
I would have started running
for a
ballistically.
no, people are inside of it.
I know. I'm gonna try to get my way out.
Girl, you
Y'all don't
imagine. Listen, listen.
What?
If you in the middle right here, bitch,
I
you're
don't care. I'm running Yeah, I'm getting out. I'm getting out.
okay. You're right.
I'm already claustrophobic, and bitch,
Girl,
I'm getting.
by the time you're running, look, you're running, you're coming out. Boom.
I'm coming off
Look,
the ground,
look.
bitch. You know, I'm Usain Bolt, bitch.
No,
I'm out.
look. Let's time this, right?
Okay.
You're over here. Boom. You're trying to run. I'm running. I'm getting there. Oh my
Okay.
god. We're going.
How is this happening right now?
Heavy wind, I guess. Yeah, that's crazy. The way I would have sued this entire amusement park for
In that
$3
moment,
trillion.
Dreamspace had snapped from its moorings and was blown into the air by a massive gust of wind. Agus just so happened to be standing at the entrance as it began to shift, and noticing what was happening, he grabbed on as he desperately tried to hold down his entire life's work, though clearly this was of no use. And after being lifted in the air, his grip failed,
Oh my
sending him falling back to the
God.
ground below, where he lay staring up at his creation that was now flying 30 feet above him.
Is he okay? See, this is the issue. You bitches start designing shit too aerodynamic. You need to cut. You get what I'm saying?
Yo, what the fuck?
You need to talk to an
Bro.
engineer, okay?
First of all, shouldn't this be in the safety requirements? We didn't.
First off, why did we mount anything down? we, you know how you mount tents down? No one like this is.
It broke. He said the snapped off, and then a gust of wind picked it up. The mountings, the bearings, whatever he said.
Girl.
Why is this still going? Like,
Damn.
what the fuck?
Inside, there were as many as 30 people who were now being thrashed around this giant inflatable structure in a scene that I truly can't even imagine.
Girl.
The claustrophobia of it, the dizzying colors, the screams. It's genuinely one of the most horrific scenarios I've ever heard. The inflatable structure was airborne for well over a minute, folding into itself before finally crashing back down into a parking lot, leaving behind what was described by witnesses as a field of bodies.
Girl, they dead?
Worst of all, the majority of those in attendance were families with small children, with one 7-year-old girl recounting her experience, saying, "It was very scary and people were screaming. I saw a lady clinging on and then falling out, and then she was lying on her back with people around her.
Okay, that's good.
I think she died."
Oh.
This lady was most likely 68-year-old Elizabeth Collings, who had been ejected from the structure when it was in the air, with her injuries being catastrophic and unsurvivable.
Yeah.
Of all the others now sprawled throughout this field of grass, most were
was
left
this?
injured, but thankfully not in serious condition. Though this wasn't the case for 38-year-old Claire Vermege, who had been inside during the accident with her 2 children. And despite her kids surviving, she was sadly not so lucky, with Claire and Elizabeth being the sole fatalities of the incident.
And he's not even like a big
The
corporation.
video
or
is
anything.
terrifying, and though it's easy to say that this could have been so much worse, considering how many people were in Dreamspace at the time, the consequences were still catastrophic, as it devastated 2 families and likely left many others at the scene traumatized for life, especially the young children. But how could this have happened? Well, that day was particularly warm, which likely caused the air inside the structure to expand, causing a hot air balloon-like effect, which was then exacerbated by sudden strong gusts of wind, which eventually caused the structure to go airborne, as in the end, it just wasn't properly secured for the conditions.
Damn.
Soon after the incident, Maurice Agus was arrested for manslaughter, though he would ultimately only end up paying a small fine, as he vowed to never create a large work again. Just a few years later, in 2009, Maurice Agus would pass away, with his legacy forever being defined by this devastating footage.
Girl, I would have sued him. I would have sued him a number that's unknown to mankind, beyond a gazillion. I would have made up a quintuple with what?
Happy birthday, Serena.
On October 2nd, 2006, police entered the home of 31-year-old Elaine Campione, where inside they found the woman speaking incoherently. Next to her was a VHS camera, depicting a series of disturbing events that had transpired within the home over the previous months and days, with the footage eventually finding its way onto YouTube.
Hi, Serena. It's August 8th, 2006. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
The tape starts with Elaine pointing her new camera at her daughter Serena. It was her 3rd birthday, and to celebrate, Elaine had left a brand new bike in the living room.
What is it?
Days later, the footage continues, showing Serena once again as Elaine asks,
How does Mama love you?
This much.
Oh, I love you more than that. How much does Mama love you?
Elaine then shows her other daughter Sophia, who was just a baby, before turning the camera on herself and showing the kids how the device worked.
Hi. See how the camcorder works?
Look, it's a furnace.
Look. Hi. Is that Mommy? Hi.
So far, the footage seems like nothing more than your standard family home videotape, and appears completely wholesome. Though with the next recording, the tone begins to shift, and things start to become slightly concerning.
This is a deplorable, horrible, messy, filthy apartment that supposedly my 2 children and I live in, and it's just a horrible, horrible mess. Yeah. I think Diego Campione is totally in the wrong, and I hope he burns in hell for all his sins, the same as Leonardo.
As Elaine shows the camera her home, she begins joking about how they are living in deplorable conditions, before randomly calling out 2 men who she says she hopes burn in hell, all while her children are in the same room. As she starts to grow more and more agitated.
All I wanted to do was take care of my 2 little girls and live happily ever after the 3 years of physical, emotional, and mental abuse that I endured tremendously by Leonardo Campione, and then the past year from Anna and Diego Campione, mental and emotional abuse.
Outright saying that she was abused by a man named Leonard Campione, who happened to be her ex-husband and the father of these children. And she goes on from there, with each moment clearly making the kids more
Is that Italian? Campione?
and more anxious.
Justice to my family for what they have all done to us. I cried out for help. They should have charged him for the assaults he did to me.
Eventually causing Elaine to snap out of it and stop the camera.
And my poor 3-year-old, I did everything to protect. And what are you saying, Sophia? What do you want?
The video then skips forward once more, with this footage being taken just days before the police were called, showing Serena coloring on the floor as Elaine asks,
Who loves ya?
Mommy.
Who loves you the most?
She might be a little. Yeah.
That much? Oh, I think I love you more than that.
She might have bipolar disorder.
The scene that unfolds next was recorded on that very same night, just hours later.
What happened?
Recording this because Leo there. Are you happy? Everything's gone. You wouldn't give peace. You wouldn't tell the truth. You didn't care about our babies. You didn't care about me. You care about yourself. All you did was hurt us.
Yeah.
In the video, Elaine states that everything is gone, as she speaks to Leo directly, accusing him of having ruined their lives with his constant abuse.
You are truly the devil.
This remind me of, remember the Diamond Flawless and King Sid thing? When he had, and then she had spiraled, went crazy.
I hate you. 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 And I want you to know how much I hate you.
Disturbingly, the children were nowhere to be seen in this footage, with Elaine eventually addressing them by saying,
God believes me. And God's taking care of us now. We're protected by God. Thank God. Thank you. Because there's no way I could have it with you. Nothing's good enough for you. It has to always be your way. Well, they're good. And you can have it your way. Your wife and your daughters are dead now. We're all in heaven.
Oh, she killed the baby.
According to Elaine, not only were her children gone, but she was too. She stops the recording soon after. Despite saying this, the camera would actually start up one more time, where Elaine describes how she was still alive despite having attempted to OD, which prompted her to call the police. When officers arrived at the home, both Serena and Sophia were found laying in her mother's bed, holding hands, and wrapped tightly in rosaries. Neither of them were alive. 2 nights prior and directly before filming this message, Elaine had brought them both into the bathroom as it was time for their nightly baths. And once in the tub, she told them to play a game, one where they would place their heads beneath the water and blow out bubbles. When they did this, Elaine held their heads down, and she didn't let go until she was certain they were gone. This footage is some of the most disturbing that I've ever seen, as we get a glimpse into Elaine's descent into madness in the moments directly before she stole her children's lives. But all of this leaves one obvious question. Why? Well, it was noted during her investigation that the abuse she alleged from her ex-husband Leo seemed to be very real and well documented over the years, leading to Leo not being able to see his children for over a year, with this causing the two to separate, which is when Elaine's mind began to deteriorate. She began believing that people were following her and were going to kill her, with this fear of people eventually shifting to a fear of aliens, as she claimed to have seen them on numerous occasions, believing they were following
Girl, back
her.
up.
Because of this fear, she refused to let her children out of her sight, not even allowing her own parents to look after them, causing her to become so attached to these children that she genuinely began to believe that they were all one entity, which made...
What's that movie that we watched with what's her name? With what's her name? You know her name. What's her name?
What movie?
That movie where she was crazy and she had 2 boys and they was in the woods.
Oh yeah.
You guys know what I'm talking about? What with Halle Berry? No, not Halle Berry.
Yeah, she was.
With Halle Berry as the mother, and she was cuckoo. This kind of reminded me of that.
things incredibly concerning when she became suicidal and eventually attempted to take her own life.
Damn.
Despite Leo's more than troubled history, he had supposedly turned his life around in the years leading to this footage and was eventually allowed to start visiting the children on a limited capacity. And seeing the children and seeing the way their mother was behaving, he became P. Ranby Prison in the UK. His freedom would last less than 24 hours, as the very next day he suffered a severe in 2010.
Gavin Collins.
On
What
April
is up with
18,
these pixelated
2010,
photos?
a
You're trying to scare
39-year-old
me.
man named Gavin Collins was released from the HMP Ranby Prison in the UK. His freedom would last less than 24 hours, as the very next day he suffered a severe mental breakdown, the result of which was captured partially across several video recordings that later appeared on YouTube. This is the story of his rampage. It began at approximately 9 a.m. in the city of Nottinghamshire when Gavin left his home. As he walked down the sidewalk, those in the area reported him acting strangely, muttering to himself that he was Jesus and that he was invincible. Without warning, he then turned his attention to
I think this whole entire episode, I think we need the main story, the main message here is everybody, it's mental health.
Yeah.
Please see a therapist.
Yeah.
Please. Everybody. And I mean everybody. I mean if you think you're okay.
a random home, which
Go
he
see a
forcefully
therapist.
entered, stole a man's car keys, and took his vehicle, taking off with no apparent destination. Inside the car, the owner just so happened to have 2 cameras, one being a standard dash cam and the other facing inside the vehicle, giving us a look at Gavin and his apparent mental state.
I feel like he's making the oh my
It's
God.
me. Jesus Christ! I'll shut you up with a eyesight I've got. Hey, don't need this. Come on, let's go, bro. So, get rid of all that crap here.
You look like Voldemort.
Let's go! Let's go!
Just at a glance, it's obvious that Gavin is completely unhinged. For some reason, he was utterly filled with rage, ripping off the
Why is
rearview
all the
mirror and
quality
yelling
of these
obscenities
photos
and
so
incomprehensible
bad?
threats
Back
at
in the
no
day.
one in
I get it,
particular.
but damn.
I'm enraged! I'm Jesus! I'm descendant of God! And you love me up! Watch this!
The British accent is throwing me.
And most concerning of all is the speed in which he's traveling, as he starts driving faster and faster, swerving in and out of cars as he passes through busy residential areas, as he reaches speeds that have been estimated to be anywhere from 85 miles an hour to well over 120.
Watch this now! I'm getting stronger and stronger by the second! Woohoo!
But somehow, despite countless close calls, every time he avoids collision, at least for the time being.
Oh, he was really the huge. Ooh.
In an instant, Gavin smashes the vehicle into a brick home at full speed,
Oh.
with the impact being devastating. And yet somehow, through the destruction, Gavin was not only still alive, but completely unharmed. And also
Now this
completely
motherfucker gonna really
unfazed.
think he Jesus.
He pulled
Oh my
himself from the
God.
wreckage and immediately turned his attention to a woman driving nearby. And within moments, he had forced his way into the vehicle and was behind the wheel once again, continuing this deranged driving spree until once again he crashed. And much like
Wait, so he wait. You need to make more emphasis. So you telling me he crashed into a brick home at 120 miles per hour, got out, and it stole somebody else's car on some GTA shit? And then
the
started
initial
driving
collision,
again?
he survived, walking
He said, round two. Round two.
He gonna really think he Jesus.
away
I'm
unscathed
Jesus!
before turning his
I'm
attention
Jesus!
to another random home. In pursuit of stealing his third vehicle, he grabbed a nearby concrete
This is the third one? Where's the cops in London?
Yo,
Y'all don't have cops in London?
why you doing that?
slab and began to smash through the home's doors, bloodying his hand in the process, before eventually making entry. Inside were a mother and her two children, one of which was 5 years old, and the other wasn't even a year. Gavin approached the terrified family, yelling and demanding that the mother give up her car keys, telling her that he
Girl, what? London, you're so lucky y'all don't got no guns. I would have bam, bam, bam. That's all you would have heard. He
what
would've-
the fuck?
This motherfucker,
This is his fourth car right now.
Look, he would have been like, I'm Jesus, give me your... That's all you would have seen. That's all you
Nigga, shut. Oh, sorry. Shut that shit
That's
up.
all you would have seen. That's all you see. Give me your... That's all you would have seen. Because I am Jesus, I will kill you if you don't give me the keys. Who are you talking to? Oh, what's the sound of? Did I mute it? Why how I mute it?
out of his own blood, before taking off family and with his injured hand,
Wait.
and she did as he said. Gavin then went to each member of the family, and with his injured hand, he drew crosses on their forehead,
Oh,
out of his
Jesus
own blood,
Christ.
before
Oh my
taking off with his
God.
third stolen car.
The Mini Coupe? Nah.
Once again, Gavin was driving manically, though this time he was even more reckless, crashing into a brick wall and then a cop car.
That's the cop car. No wonder why they wasn't catching his ass. Why? What are you driving this for?
Before setting his sights on a pedestrian.
And on top of that, they don't
While
even got
speeding
no
through a
gun.
neighborhood, Gavin would see a man standing innocently near a bus stop. And for whatever reason, the sight of this man enraged him, causing Gavin to slam on the brakes and reverse the vehicle, stepping on the gas as hard as he could, and crashing directly into him, leaving him lying there with devastating
Oh my
injuries.
God!
Gavin quickly exited the vehicle and found the man lying motionless on the ground, prompting him to shout, "I've killed him. I've killed the devil." Minutes later, Gavin would crash
Yeah.
yet another car.
Where's the asylum? We need the straight jacket.
Everybody need
we
grip
need the straight jacket. He came out the car.
This
It's not funny,
This
but
is the
it-
fourth car.
He
No, this
came
is the third.
out the car to
Into
witness
yet another
the man.
home. Though this time, the police weren't far behind.
Oh my god.
And on top of that, he's not even that good of a driver.
No, like, come on.
He's on some GTA shit for sure. This is the type of shit I only do in GTA. When you run over the whole bunch of pedestrians on the sidewalk, this is the type of shit I do.
Is that a taser? Is
Yes.
that- oh my god.
Cause mine do. Yeah. Oh, what is that smoke?
Finally bringing his disturbed driving spree to an end. The man that
my
Gavin had
God.
struck was 87-year-old Terry Radford, a retired teacher whose injuries were catastrophic, with the man passing away soon after. According to his family, Terry was an incredible grandfather, father, and son.
Oh my god.
The footage is genuinely horrifying, but what's most shocking of all is the fact that any of this was even allowed to happen. As stated
for real.
previously,
Yeah,
this was
like,
Gavin's very first day out of prison, and based on the behavior he exhibited whilst in prison, he really should have never been released.
No.
No.
Gavin was granted an early release in March of 2019 for charges based around burglary, but
So you telling me this man was during the trial? He's screaming at the judge, "I am Jesus Christ," and you let him out of the prison?
just as he was set to be freed, it was discovered that he had submitted an adulterated drug test, which caused his case to be re-examined and resulted in his release being postponed. In response, Gavin lost his mind. Later that month, he assaulted a prison guard before spraying him with an unknown liquid that contained bleach, before proceeding to set his cell on fire and attacking another officer with a piece of wood. Due to his actions, Gavin was placed into an isolated cell, where less than a week later, he started yet another fire, and when an officer entered his cell to put it out, Gavin struck them in the head and pulled out a plastic knife, threatening to slash him, stating that it would be a thrill to kill him. Gavin's stay in prison clearly hadn't rehabilitated him. In fact, it seemed to have made him more violent than ever before, and more mentally disturbed. Though shockingly, despite all of these additional crimes, Colin's release would go on to be approved less than 2 weeks
Who the fuck? Who?
Who's this judge?
He must have been fucking the judge or something.
later, with Gavin being set free on April 18th, and within just
Y'all judge must be fucking
Excuse
drunk.
me?
Like,
He set his cell on fire.
he did it like 3 times. And he almost killed. They don't even play that. Y'all too soft. Y'all too soft. But alright. That's the end of the video.
So that's what you think.
If you like more of this content, like the video, comment that you like it, and subscribe if you're new here. Road to 1,000 subscribers. Like, comment, subscribe.
See ya.
Bye.